going to be a fun game nonetheless. In fact, there is something on the line, and that's pride. And we know that teams at this level value that very, very much. Fun fact, Dev. Do you want to hear a fun fact?
Oh, I would love to hear a fun fact.
Do you want to know when the last time these two teams played one another?
Oh, when was the last time these two teams played one another?
It was the Pro League season finals in season number 10, the APAC finals, October 20th, 2019. So an absolute lifetime ago. I remember sitting at home watching that game. That's how long ago that was. But wow.
I remember actually casting it because I've casted a LAN. Unlike someone else in this current duo cast.
What's a LAN?
I don't think anyone knows these days, not for the last year and a half. 2019, October. Man, that was so long ago. But here it is. Wildcard versus the Giants.
Well, look, Wildcard have been merciless in this game. Despite it only being for the bottom position, they've still decided to ban the Montang off the board, so Paul Luda won't be able to bring him to the table. And the Giants, on the flip side, bring their regular bans as well, one Projectile Denial and the one Mai, and a Thatcher as well. So I guess so far nothing's really standing out as being too crazy, and maybe an indication that the teams are going to take this game pretty damn seriously.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Like, neither of these... It's one thing to be second last on the standings, and it's another thing to be last on the standings. I mean, let's be real here. Like, Wildcard have been... Like, 2020 was their best, most dominant ever year of Rainbow Six within OCE. Like, they won everything that was to win, right up until January when they started to slip off. And Giants, I mean, it's almost the same story, right? They were constantly vying for number one in APAC North with Cloud9, and they just overall looked like the best team in APAC. Coming into APAC South, there was a bit of drama, guys. There was a bit of, why is Giants coming to APAC South when they were, arguably the best team? And now they're ending up potentially on the bottom. Like, imagine the egg on their faces should that happen. Like, what? That's what teams are playing for, man. That's what these teams are playing for. If you end up last... Yeah, you might not get any more, like, you're not getting playoffs or whatever if you come second last, but at least you're not in last place.
Yeah, and that's all it counts for. In all seriousness, there is literally no difference that I know of, unless you want to correct me, between finishing 7th and 8th in the regular season. There's just no difference.
Oh, there is.
Oh, how much?
$500 USD difference,
well, that's big.
Actually.
That is big. That is a couple of...
What could you probably buy? ED could probably actually buy a proper chair.
Maybe. Maybe I could buy a plane ticket to a LAN. We'll never know. Speak easy though, he's spawn peeking over towards the White Hall, playing the Aruni on the board. Vinny is aware though, holding that with the Yana, the 2x in hand. Wow, actually... It does feel quite surreal seeing these two teams up against one another. Honestly, it has been so long. And the fact that it doesn't count for such a high standard it's honestly still difficult to comprehend, right?
It's just criminal, isn't it? The fact that these two teams are playing, but they're not playing for like a spot at a major or anything like that. They're playing for to not be the last team, to not have that egg on their face, to not be embarrassed to that degree. What's funny, guys, is last year, like, I was casting APAC North. I wasn't casting as much OS, but just by looking at how dominant Wildcard were, like, I thought that Wildcard, because they were just so good in OS, they were probably, like, I thought they would stack up really well against the APAC North teams. I thought Giants was the best in APAC North and in APAC as a whole, and I thought that Wildcard was the second best in APAC, even better than C9. Like, by my predictions of last year, like, I rated these two as the best teams in APAC. And now they're at the bottom of APAC South. Like, that is just ridiculous.
And I guess even on a larger scale, as you mentioned, there were some discussions about the league format as it kicked off, and many think it might be top-heavy with the SEA teams. But as we stand right now, the top four locked in. It is half OS and half Southeast Asia. So it couldn't literally be more balanced. And it's also Southeast Asia 1st and 4th, and OS 2nd and 3rd. So it is literally perfectly balanced.
As all things should be. Let's see if Wildcard can balance this roam clear. There's Hysterics going down. The man at the top of the APAC South MVP has been shut down in this first round. But in classic Wildcard fashion, Time is ticking away.
Jordan low on HP in towards the site as well. He could play critical role late round as he has a Nitro Cell in hand. I thought that spray was him, but that was Gio off screen dropping Speakeasy. And now Jordan's job is even more important, but Pat is probing your Zero off screen to find one. Utility in the face of Pat might slow him down, but Emo Rin, he doesn't slow down. He finds one, but he gets traded back.
Jordan.
Oh, Jordan. I don't think he can do it. No, he can't. He gets taken down in the end. And it's a solid first round for Wildcard.
It certainly was solid. I mean, that that was quite convincing, really. It ended up in a 3 versus 1, and if it wasn't for some nice shots from those Giants players, that would have been a steamroll. Wildcard have certainly come into this game saying, look, we're here to make a statement. Everyone here was favoring Giants. I mean, you heard Manic in the pre-show. Like, Wildcard, they have an excuse for playing this poorly, right? But throughout this entire season, we've still favored Giants to be the #1 team. Like, after they lost to Elevate, we're like, okay, maybe Giants is #2 team. And then Giants started to lose to everyone, and they're like, well, maybe, maybe there's still somewhere in the middle. Surely they're still above Wildcard, right? Like, Wildcard lost Diesel, and that completely threw off everything from their scrim schedule, their motivation. They're playing with Silex, who, funnily enough, is currently working 2 other jobs at the moment, and still somehow playing on this roster, just filling in due to the roster transfer restrictions. Like, Giants, by all rights, should be the favored team here.
That little spiel there made an interesting question pop into my head, and you might know the answer, Dev, because you've been around since the dinosaurs. Has Silex played against this team previously?
Yes, so he was... No, actually, no, he was coaching. He was actually coaching back in the day. And look, off the top of my head, these 2 teams never met at APAC finals in the past. Maybe the exceptions to that would be like the Raleigh Major Qualifier or the Paris Major Qualifier. But, we're talking, that's 2019, 2018. Like, that is a long damn time ago. I'm actually curious now. While you talk, I'm going to go look it up.
How did I know you were going to chase that up? Well, let's see how this round plays out here. I like this setup from Speakeasy. Playing the Goyo shield, the Vulcan shield inside of Backstore to reinforce that position. Of course, it is a top stairs or top floor defense here from the Giants. Luna roaming below as well. Wildcard, though, it looks like they're going for a pretty standard take with the West Repel, and we would expect that sort of sweep between these 2 methodical teams.
And just to hark back to what we were saying, I was right. The Paris Major Qualifier in 2018. Atletico Esports, which went on to become Wildcard, headed by Silex, the team captain, played against the remaining players on this roster would be Luna Metal Ysera and Hysterics. The other 2 are newer. So there you go. That is the last time Silex played against these players right here. That 2018, nearly 3 years ago.
Look, I think it's probably safe to say that his power has only multiplied over the years. The man is absolutely cracked in the rank stack. Meanwhile, though, a bit of action going down towards Pixel. It's Jordan pinched behind a deployable shield inside of the bathroom, but he manages to fall back. Speakeasy finds a pick as well, and it feels like Wildcard are finding it quite tricky to enter Lounge.
I really like these long angles held here with the ACOG on Speakeasy. This is really the trial and tribulation of attacking this cafe top floor. It's all about defending those shields, right? And Goyo and the smoke really, really leveraging that. Pat's got a lovely angle. Oh, he sees the head. Just doesn't land the shot. So Speakeasy, funnily enough, moves his shield and fights back to Pat, who does win the fight and evens up this man count.
Leaves it in a 4 versus 4 as Wildcard begins to slowly gain control. Pat needs to be mindful of pillars down below. If he exposes his head, he'd probably get taken right off. Gio as well is on the skylight covering that position as Hysterics repositions himself. With 30 seconds to go, Wildcard will need to try and convert this to site control, but it looks like there's still quite a bit of utility that hasn't been dealt with.
But as such, this will be a very difficult execute for Wildcard. Silex with Diffuser in hand starts to push on through, and Emarin looking to flank from the stairs. He loses his life. The Diffuser has gone down, And it looks like it's all on Pat. Wildcard fallen to pieces. And there is no reason for Giants to peek because Ysera can just zap Pat to death. And Giants reply with the first round of their own.
Does feel like we don't see enough Maestro these days, or definitely not as much as we used to, particularly in the old util soak meta. So good to see it make a little bit of a comeback in what feels like, you know, that throwback match, if you would. Either way, though, scores one apiece, and Giants will go down to reading.
You know what? We've already talked about one retirement game today, which was It Be Style. God bless. He had his final game. He unfortunately lost, and he didn't manage to get his 2.0 KD. But that was his retirement game. We have another double retirement day here. Re-retirement for Silex. This is his last game with the team. Of course, failing to qualify for the APAC South playoffs. And, you know, I've heard whispers that Wildcard are, of course,
Picking up Pengu? Was it?
Picking up somebody.
Was it Pengu?
I will not...
Oh, I wasn't meant to say it, sorry.
Look, guys, you're just not meant to say that on broadcast, dude. Well, we don't know who Wildcard are picking up, or do we? We'll have to wait and find out. But, yes, this is, of course, Salix's last game with the team. He's going to be going back to teaching university-level statistics like the absolute legend he is.
Maybe Wildcard should keep him as a part-time analyst then. That would make sense, right?
Well, I mean, he has been the team manager. They have an analyst, Flux.
True,
but
true.
Salix has been that team. Yeah, that's it, yeah. I heard that maybe they would be looking for more coaching staff. But, there you go. Yeah, sorry, guys. You're going to have to cast a Xenox from now on.
Ah! No! That would be my worst nightmare. And look, for both of these teams, this stage has been a little bit of a nightmare.
Certainly has.
Now is an opportunity to bounce back. Wildcard again, establishing themselves on the roof for a Western map sweep. And it does always feel a bit like deja vu on Cafe Attacks. Very, very similar patterns from a lot of teams in most regions. And this matchup so far proving to be no different. I am keen to see, though, how much the Giants will contest. I thought Speakeasy maybe was going to go for a run out, but that won't be the case. Instead, he'll rotate an ADS back above to further fortify this position.
Yeah, I like that. I guess his job at early round was just to see whether Wildcard were contesting the ground floor, and if they're not, then pick up his ADS and try and fortify that position at top white. Look at GIA, man. He is sharp. Looks like he's been hitting the Kovacs recently, and as he moves on into washrooms, he might just be able to get rid of that Banshee. Obviously risky to do so as he takes down that mute jammer and lets that drone go forth. There's actually no one top white right now. This is a serious potential for a play, but of course, Hysterics, ever vigilant, starts to put some pressure on.
Gio, though, is
pretty
cracked on the sticks and could find that pick. Yeah, Jordan taking quite a bit of damage and elects to fall off. And outside of Luna, it's basically clear for the attack to take it. Oh, Luna's going to be in a whole lot of trouble real quick. The flames engulf Backstory. He's forced back deep in towards the freezer, and surely Wildcard can swing on him.
Vinny cautious of top white. They don't know about Cocktail. Surely they predict Freezer. Such a common position. They destroyed that shield. That doesn't mean the player is gone. Luna! What? How do you lose that, Vinny? Oh, are you asleep at the wheel? Fortunately, there's a trade from the man himself. Vinny Tan spam that can. 3 players left for Wildcard to find. As they are left reeling, Luna Metal is thanking his lucky stars that, well, we may have spectated that one. So, but I won't tell. You know, I won't tell anyone. He got the kill. That's all that matters. 20 seconds left.
We can delete the VOD, Luna. Don't worry about it. We'll delete the VOD, brother.
I got your back. Pat starts to push on through. 15 seconds. See you later, says Ysera. What an angle. He just does not miss. And Giants take that lead.
Ysera showing how to actually hit your shots there at the end of that round.
I don't think he learned that from Luna Metal.
So, I mean, look, Luna whiffing is one thing, but how did Vinny not see the big white indicator on the middle of his screen? Wait, do you get the white indicator on Pro League HUD settings?
Yeah,
Maybe
you
you don't.
You do.
You do? Yeah. So
surely. I mean, I feel like I'm confident that you do, but at the same time, if I'm wrong, I'm going to look like an idiot.
yeah, we'll let you confirm that one.
Surely we
Hey,
lost
also,
Raven.
Luna definitely was not running a suppressor. We can confirm that.
No.
So if bullet trails are enabled, then he definitely should have seen them. That was quite the peculiar gunfight, is the nice way of saying it.
Yeah. Well, not a great round there from Wildcard, but Giants, they have a second chance here to defend Kitchen. This was a really dominant one for Wildcard, though. When they won it, they found that opening pick, they converted to a 5v3, and then a great execute onto site, just engulfing that objective. But we are seeing the pattern continue, guys. Like, forever, Wildcard has been this slow and methodical team, and I feel like they're a bit less vigilant than they used to be in terms of how methodical they are. Like, they used to dot every I and cross every T. I feel like not always the case any longer. But one thing that has not changed is they really let that clock run down, don't they?
5 seconds left.
Yeah. And that was natural 6 months ago when the meta was the way it was, but
Yeah.
it's been flipped on its head, just like the results are this season.
Hello?
Speak easy, flips outside, tries to find a pick, but seeks refuge back in towards.
It's pretty ambitious.
Yeah, oh, just a little bit ambitious there, especially
It's a big
given
run
the
out.
magnification. But oh well, he gets away with it and doesn't take any damage, which is all right.
Yeah, well, looks like Wildcard going for a full map take, rappelling up to the roof. My concern here is that this does take a lot of time. And if Giants just kind of loiter up top, shoot a couple drones, and then fall back, I feel like Wildcard will end up in a 5v5 with 40 seconds left and no drones once they finally clear this room.
Ex-Kairos rain out. I don't know where I am. Probably on the red wall, I would have to assume. Didn't get line of sight, but trying to use my ears to listen for where those explosions are going down. And in fact, it was the red wall being droned out now in towards Lounge. That's Emo, Rin, and Geo doing that hard work. Geo has been playing the entry for this team for a while, and I guess that's why he was brought on in the first place. Did such a great job, particularly last year, but he has found it a little bit trickier this year, and he'll be looking to redeem himself heading into stage 2.
Emo is a player that's just been so consistent for Wildcard, and lovely C4 there. Hysterics still keen to take this fight. A great weapon in close range. Surely there's a refrag coming through. Hysterics lands that shot. The refrag attempted, returning fire from Vinny, but look at this confidence from Hysterics, and just look at that team play. Giants always within arm's reach of their teammates, ready to refrag.
That leaves a minute on the clock now with the hatch open for Wildcard to formulate their execute. It will be a 3 versus 4, so it will be quite tricky, and there's quite a bit of utility potentially on the board here for the Giants that could prove costly for the attack. So your gates, potentially Black Eye cameras in the site as well, as there's Maestro Evil Eyes. A lot to contend with and not a lot of time to contend with that utility. Wow, what a terrible sentence, but hopefully the execute is a little bit cleaner.
Oh, it's just so hard now for Wildcard. No time. Nice usage of the gun 6 there from Vinny, but he's about to walk dead into a crossfire. And that's it. Speakeasy takes his head clean off and ready and waiting for another person to contest. Alex is going to walk into that exact same crossfire. Hysterics found another kill from VIP. No refrag possible. That is Jordan to close the round, and Giants make a clean sweep of 3 defense rounds.
Nice double down there at the end of the round, and the Giants now feels like they're slowly taking control of this match. Again, heading into this one, despite it being not the strongest of seasons for them, you still have to back them in. But that is a tale that is echoed throughout the first stage and hasn't always rung true, so I guess you have to proceed with caution with the Giants at the moment. And this will be a test on whether or not they can actually close out a game.
You know what's crazy? Giants have only won 2 matches in APAC South out of 6 that they have played so far. You want to hear something funny about that? The only 2 matches that they have won were against Oceanic teams. They lost to every single Southeast Asian team. Elevate, 7th Heaven, and Q-Confirm.
And of course, those were the teams that they were competing against last year in APAC North. And outside of really Elevate, who did put up a good fight against them on a couple of occasions, they were pretty dominant against the Giants. They were just sweeping through everyone outside of Cloud9, right? So it is, I guess, maybe a good opportunity to hypothesize what has gone wrong over this period. I do like what Raven mentioned, that maybe it's just the meta is not favoring them. Some teams just do not suit particular metas. Giants, well suited to the methodical, slow, structured pacing of the 30-second meta. Maybe now that it's turned a little bit more aggressive, reliant on fragging and aggressiveness, it just doesn't quite suit them at the moment. But I think that this is a team that is adaptable, and in the long term, they can make it work. And there we go. There's a glimmer of it. You're zero with a spore peak. All right.
Yeah, I mean, you're just going to tell them that they're not capable of being aggressive and they're going to go and spawn peek for you. Poor Silex, though. He's probably like, get me off this damn team. I just got to go back to teaching maths.
Get me a calculator.
Calculate this, says Ysera. But, you know, just to go back to that point that you were saying, right, from Giants, I honestly, I don't feel like the meta is unfavored to them. Like, they are a team, I mean, Lunametal always told me, he considers them a team that they will adapt to play whatever playstyle they think will counter their opponents best. Like, they don't really consider themselves having a specific playstyle, albeit like whether it's aggressive or methodical. Like, they feel like they just go with the flow with whatever they think is best. And no, I would say that last year. I would agree with that. I mean, they're definitely capable of playing aggressively, but we just haven't seen them be successful with whatever playstyle they choose.
Almost thought that was Emo-Rin getting the wallbang, but he was in fact on the rappel and clears Jordan over towards Pixel. Position has been retaken though. Speakeasy can shoulder pick that left and right, unlikely to be taken down, and in the process is gathering some nice information, but the counter intel there on the drone from Wildcard means that they know exactly where he's playing, and that is here to stay.
No shield, but still eager to peek aggressively on that angle. Froster's 9mm is quite a powerful weapon in these long-range fights. He finds one great trade, though. Emo-Rin ever so consistent once again. Does need to cross to get that diffuser, but he can't suppress the aggression thanks to those ADSs, and Lunametal's going to double down.
Could be on for a big play here. Sprays and reveals his position though, so at least the sound cue has been given out to Emo-Rin, but with no air jabs left, they'll likely need to commit a drone to holding that if they so desire. But Luna's fallen back over towards top white, but with those angles could still pose a threat. Swings and finds one. Oh, narrowly gets a second, but Vinny steps up. He's now left in the 1v1. Hysterics over towards top white. Needs to try and play time. Vinny does have quite a bit to work with. 20 seconds left. Will he stick the plant?
A game of cat and mouse. Hysterics wants to make his footsteps heard, but now he has to retake. He wins those, lands that perfect headshot, deletes Vinny from the server. What better player to put in that position? Fantastic clutch.
Defenders disabled the diffuser.
Whoa!
Defender mission successful.
Hysterics plays on a really high DPI.
Or he has a DPI switcher.
Shh.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I mean, surely that's a DPI switcher.
I think, nah, he just plays on like 3200 normally.
Yeah,
like, that's what the gamers play on these days.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally play on 6400 because I'm pretty cracked.
Yeah, well, you do like nanometers for a 360, 1 nanometer for a 360. Is that your ratio there?
Yeah, it means I can hit flicks a little bit quicker, which is
that's good.
Really
That's
helpful.
good.
I would recommend.
There you go. Pro tips from Guz.
Yep, don't take any tips from me. I'm gold 1 at the moment. Sorry, I just had to get that out of the system.
Your season's almost been as rough as Wildcard and Giants'.
Oh. Maybe not quite that bad. Maybe not quite that bad.
Chance at redemption here for one of these teams, and it is certainly looking now like Giants. They've just made 4 in a row And, well, some of them have been close, some of them have not. That certainly was a close round, but put Sterix in a 1v1 situation, and he's going to win those. Onus is definitely on Wildcard now. A 5-1-half against them. I mean, that is... I feel like at that point, Giants are just uncatchable. There's no way Wildcard could come back from such a
10
deficit.
seconds remaining.
They need this round to keep themselves in this game. Keep in mind, Giants have never actually lost in overtime. They have almost all of their games, all but one, have been completed in regulation. They've only had one overtime game.
Speak easy. Playing over towards White Stairs on the Goyo, getting a little bit cheeky with the pistol. Meanwhile, Wildcard will rappel up above and slowly start getting to work. Their goal, of course, will be to maintain control of top red, transition that in towards shop and lounge, and then slowly work their way across the bar all the way to cocktail. And that way, the likes of GIA with the skeleton key can get vertical lines of sight in towards the objective and start to clear these players and apply pressure. Did someone just drop the skylight? Or did I missee that? I surely missed that. Yeah, I did. Okay. Wow, that's super weird. I don't know. I'm seeing ghosts out here. Yes, Marshall on the obs. I know I'm going a little bit stir crazy. It's been a busy couple of weeks. Meanwhile, though, it is very, very straightforward here from Wildcard. No crazy drops as of yet.
There's the air jab to suppress that aggression. Wildcard, as they start to take top floor, it may well what you have been seeing. You may have seen the Yana dropping down the skylight, the Yana Gemini device. As that is currently...
I knew I saw something.
There you go. You're not crazy after all. Hello, Jordan's going crazy. Surely he gets punished. How does he make that work? Thankfully for Wildcard, Pat punishes him. Very cautious of a refrag. Giants are known for always having a response, and they do so as Luna trades onto Emo.
Geo on that buck, as I mentioned, looking to get control of Cocktail as Pat gets taken down. Geo as well will fall to the hands of Luna. It's Vinny and Silex to try and clutch up the dynamic duo. What can they do? Luna! He gets Silex, who gets caught off guard. It's now Vinny in the 1 versus 3 inside a pillar. This is winnable. I have a feeling that Vinny can pull off something special here, but no. Yazir is inside of sight. Will lock him out. And the Giants get that 5-1 lead as we close out the half.
Quite a dominant half at that for the Giants. 5 rounds in a row to answer Wildcard's opening. The Giants are so very close to not only overtaking Wildcard in the standings, but saving themselves from the humiliation of last place in APAC South. Imagine either of these teams being in last place. That's just... It's not just Giants, but it's Wildcard as well. You'd think that despite losing Diesel and the disruption to their practice schedule and to the whole team that would have resulted because of that, you still wouldn't think that Wildcard is a bottom APAC South team. But I think that just goes to credit how amazingly competitive APAC South has been. We underestimated teams like 7th Heaven, Q Confirm, Order, Knights, every one of these middle pack teams that honestly have just shone so brightly.
100%. It's been a huge season from so many teams in APAC South, and I'm sure those playoffs when the 3 regions, keep in mind, North, South, and South Asia playoff in not too long, it's going to be an absolutely crazy event.
5 seconds to
So I look forward to that. But all eyes, of course, currently on the last match of the regular season for Stage 1. It's Wildcard and the Giants. It is the battle for supremacy at the bottom of the standings. The wooden spoon is lurking and looming for the team that does fall. And so far, it's looking like Wildcard might be the one to claim that spoon. It just has not been a very solid map from them at the moment.
What I will say about the wooden spoon is at least it's practical, right? Like when you come first, all you get is a big trophy. Like you can't really feasibly drink anything out of that. Like you can't really use that as like a cup, right? But no, a wooden spoon, very, very versatile implement.
Guns are also pretty useful, and Hysterics uses his to drop Pat. Yeah, spoons are pretty good. I mean, there's a bakery on Cafe. Maybe the loser can go make some cupcakes and fill the stalls, but Hysterics is filling his frag account. It's 9-3 at the moment.
Jesus.
Wildcard need to try and retake above and find a pick, but again, that's easier said than done.
3.0 KD now for Hysterics. He has been the undisputed MVP of APAC. Oh my god, there's another one, Silex. What are you doing? Hysterics pops double digits, just 6 rounds in, and Emorin's taking damage as well as he retakes the top floor. This is a guns blazing attempt from Wildcard, as there is no chance Emorin escapes alive. Hey Vinny, can you just 1v5? Yeah, thanks mate.
Well, he gets one. Still 4 left to go. I don't know. I reckon he's going to get a few here. I'm going to say 3. I'm going to say Vinny can get 3 in this round before he gets shut down. Oh, it was almost 2. But Speakeasy is too good. And Giants will claim match point.
And a game that we thought may well have been close has turned out to be the most one-sided affair of the day. Giants, 6 rounds in a row, claim match point over Wildcard. These two legendary teams, and this historic match will go down in history as a moment where Giants may just reclaim their pride and avoid that bottom placing on the standings.
Well, let's see where this potential last round will play out. It's going to be a reading room and a fireplace from Wildcard. Silex as well, 6 picking off the smoke onto a Rooney and bringing the Suya Gates
Attackers need to locate and defuse as
to the
many
table.
bombs as they can.
Just an additional piece of utility that the Giants will need to contend with. But on most occasions, right, it hasn't even come down to site play. On most occasions, the Giants are really efficient in clearing out any extensions, any roams, and by the time anyone's near the site, it's a 1-on-5 or a 2-on-5, whatever the case may be. So I'm not sure exactly how much of an impact that utility might have, at least on site, maybe on the extension, but Wildcard needs to try and bring out something real quick.
I'm going to take a step back for a second, guys. I'm interested to hear your thoughts, because I feel like losing this game for Wildcard and being bottom on the standings weighs less than Giants losing this and being on the bottom of the standings. I think we look at Wildcard and they look at themselves and they say, look, we were dealt a rough hand this season. Diesel was unfortunately unable to play last minute. We couldn't get in a proper sub. We just had to have our coach play. And so we can kind of write off the season. We gave it a crack and then we'll go back to the drawing board with our new 5th. If Giants lose and come last place, they can't just point to something and say, look, this is the cause. Look, we had a sub. No. This is the same 5 players and coach that did so amazingly through APAC North last year. Yeah. And I think that the loss for Giants, it just weighs so much.
Yep, I would have to agree, but I guess the end result really for both these teams is kind of the same. They're going to be on a big back foot when it comes to global standings for the rest of the year and maintaining their position in the league. Outside of that, though, some early round aggression here from the Giants. Luna with the Skeleton Gear getting to work over towards Engine. Hysterics to get the opening pick onto Silex. And again, it's falling apart off site here for Wildcard.
Nice tease of a rush early on from Giants, but like you say, they keep some attention offside. Hysterics, 12-3. 4 kills for every death he has had this round. A C4 goes out to meet the Yana, but Ysera is safely repelling.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
As Jordan is injured, this perhaps is an opportunity for Wildcard, but Speakeasy shuts down that flank attempt from Emo. Pat and Gio to hold on against the full force of the Singaporean Giants. Hysterics, hungry and desperate for more after the worst season they have ever had. All that remains is a desperate grasp of pride, and it comes with a bang. Wildcard are the victims of the Giants. A flawless round to close the inaugural season of APAC South.
Oh, Speakeasy said it himself in the old chat. We're back. It's something. It's better than nothing. And a quick game's a good game. 7-1 in the end from the Giants. It's been a less than ideal stage 1 for them, but at least they ended on a good note. And there you go. That is right. We did talk about that.
These teams are playing SI.
They're going SI. The bottom 2 teams in APAC South are going to be at 6 Invitational.
It's unbelievable.
They just love it.
I just can't believe that, man. Like, not even Elevate qualified for 6 Invitational. And there it is.